killing bush. I got him at gunpoint. Check the missiles. We're going to full evacuation at this time.
We're pulling them out.
911. Advise ready for encampment.
God!
Welcome to another episode of War Stories. I'm Tom.
I'm Chuck.
And we are back with part 2. And I'll just get right into it. How are you, Sean?
I'm fantastic.
I don't know if I'm going to remind the listeners per se. You went from being a Navy Corpsman to having the most strange origin story in the Marine Corps. Because you were kind of a celebrity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. You weren't done with serving, and you decided to continue on, and got a little bit of red carpet treatment.
Yeah, I don't know how red carpet it was. It was interesting, if anything.
Oh, what I meant to ask last time, when you were in, and you were in the civil affairs group doing all the for like the Leatherneck newspaper and all the newspaper stuff, or I don't know if it was Leatherneck newspaper, but or magazine or whatever, but you were doing all the cool stuff for like the editing or in the video, like the reporting, I guess, right?
Public affairs,
yeah, public affairs, and that's where you picked up E4 and E5, right?
Yes.
Did you ever get to do the gauntlet for your blood stripes?
Oh no.
Oh, they didn't do it. I was like, man, I wonder if they did it over there, because where I got it done by, some senior lances and some corporals, and they fucking made me walk the gauntlet where they need me in the legs to give me my blood stripes.
You were in a real MOS. You know what I mean? Like public affairs is.
Hey, my buddy went to public affairs.
Didn't have anybody there to knee you.
Yeah. No, there wasn't anybody bad enough to try and do that. Like.
So I just want to bring that up because basically we're going to skip forward because we have so much more to talk about. We got to a point where we were discussing. So for you listeners didn't listen to last week's, shame on you. Go listen to last week's, and then you'll know what we're talking about.
Right.
You had just gone through and gotten your public affairs job, and then made sergeant as you were going to another assignment, and
lateral moving.
Right. And we were talking about that, and I just want to remind everybody where we're at. So as we pick up where we left off, how did you end up going? Like, how long did it take for you to make sergeant and start lateraling over?
So I got to the depot and get settled into my job there at the depot. And it was almost immediately that I picked up corporal, and then immediately picked up sergeant.
Oh, okay.
So there's the cutting score for corporal came out, and I had it. And then the next promotion cycle, when the cutting score for sergeant came out, I had it, because all of my Navy time and everything counts towards time in service, time in grade type of thing.
Okay.
So
dude.
On the books, when I was a public affairs, when I was a Lance Corporal with 7.5 years in service.
Yeah, you leveled up.
Yeah, like
get a power up.
Yeah, easy mode activated. Yeah, basically. And so, like when this cutting score came out for me to pick up corporal, I want to say it was like a 1700 or something like that, and I had like an 1875 cutting score. Like I was ridiculously over whatever it was supposed to be both times. Like it was insane. Like I just gotten my uniforms back from like getting corporal sewn on to them, because like seasonal stuff. So like
I just get my sergeant.
Yeah, my dress blues came back. I got that bump in pay from corporal, and I'm like, I got to get all my stuff sewn on, because I'm on the depot, so all my stuff has to look professional. Plus, I'm in public affairs, so I'm in front of cameras and stuff all the time. So my stuff has to be like ready to go at all times. And I'm getting all that stuff back, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, now you're a sergeant. So I just spent $400 to get all these patches sewn on, and now I've got to spend another $400 to get all that stuff.
How soon? How quickly?
Oh, within like 6 months. Like I was a corporal for.
Dude.
Yeah, it was insane. Like I'm not kidding when I say the cutting score came out.
Yeah,
I got promoted. The next cutting score came out, and I got promoted.
I do have to say when your gunny wants you to promote and that shit comes out, they try to push you so fucking hard, so fast. They're like, hey, you're gonna promote. Yeah.
My gunny was a scumbag, bro. I hated her. She did not want me to promote. She did not want me to promote, but she had no choice in the matter because
really,
like the cutting score was like a 1775 and I had like a 1900 cutting score with everything. So there's no way they could, the only way they could have stopped me was to non-rec me.
Oh, that
but there was nothing they could non-rec me for. Oh, so like it was, her hands were tied, Chief. Like she was.
Oh, that's awesome. Fuck yeah. Stick it to the man.
And I would have kept you from promoting if it weren't for you meddling kids.
If you'd have just done something, you son of a bitch. Yeah. Like she hated me, man. Like,
wow.
Then again, like everybody,
fuck yeah.
Everybody didn't like me. And then when they found out that I was lap moving and I was no longer, I was abandoning the public affairs field to go the tracks. Dude, my lieutenant colonel, he was cool about it because he understood. Like I was like, dude, I don't fit in here. Like I'm not
right.
Like I'm good at this job. I'm able to do this job. Right. Like I went from being just a lowly writer to being like the press chief and the editor for the paper and all this kind of stuff. Like I knew my stuff, but the culture, like I didn't fit into the culture of like being a public affairs person, I guess.
So you
was softer?
I was like, yeah, man, go do bigger and better things. But there was a master sergeant that swapped out, like the gunny got retired, and then this master sergeant came in and took her place. And he was a dick. And he thought like, he found out like I was leaving. And he's like, you'll never amount to nothing. You don't know how the Corps works and da 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 da. And I was like, motherfucker, like I got more ribbons than you. I've been to more deployments, I guarantee. Like, cause you got like two rows, bro. And like you were like a Desert Storm Marine. Like you didn't do shit. Like, and then by the time the GWAT popped off, you were high enough in the chain that you could send everybody else underneath you, and you didn't have to go. So like
you went to Kuwait City and got
yeah, bro. Like you were sitting on the Air Force base eating ice cream, Chief. Right. Like don't talk to me about the real Marine Corps.
And you were deployed with Marines as a devil doc. Like, I mean, you knew how the Marine Corps worked. Our doc was with us all the fucking time. He never saw BAS. And the moment he did, he didn't fit in there. He fit in more with us as the Marines. And he was an honorary Marine in our book. I mean, we fucking didn't look at him any differently. So that statement by his ignorant ass is completely false because you probably understand it more than he does. He's just a fucking egotistical asshole who's wants to throw a big green weenie all over the place.
Yeah, he wanted to come in and flop his dick, and I was already on the way out the door, so he had no real power over me because my package had already dropped, and I had already been selected for a school seat and all that stuff.
Different.
Yeah, like I'm out the door. Like I'm
fucking awesome.
I got to turn in my gear, and I'm leaving in like a month and a half, and he knew like basically like. Just treat me like shit until I left so that I wouldn't spoil the rest of the team or whatever. But that was the joke on him because the rest of the team loved me. So
that kind of leadership boggles my mind. Yeah. It happens too often.
It's everywhere. It's an epidemic, dude.
Okay. So Sean,
it's one of those things that like the good leadership is intimidated by junior leaders that are good leaders. Because they see something, I don't know what they see, but like there's something in me being a sergeant and having more sway over the junior Marines than you being a master sergeant and thinking that, you know, your rank entitles you to like the respect and all this stuff. Like, yeah, I got to respect your rank. I don't have to respect you as a person.
Right.
And that was his issue is like, I didn't have the rank, but if I said something to the junior Marines, like they would immediately like, jump to and go do whatever I asked them to do without question.
There's a difference between saluting the uniform and saluting the man in it.
Yep.
Yep. Big time.
Which I always like, I never really cared about like rank so much as like if the dudes that I was with and the ladies that I was with that were entrusted to my care as an NCO, if they knew that I would do anything for them, like I don't care what's on my shoulder.
Right.
It never really bothered me. I mean, I got forced out as a sergeant, so like.
Really? Let me guess.
Yeah.
The cutting score was so fucking high in tracks that you're just like, I can't fucking promote. Like, or it wasn't even a cutting score. It's a fucking service package.
I was up for staff when I got there, but the thing that killed me is that because I lat moved as a sergeant, I was competing with dudes that were trackers from the jump, and I didn't have as many deployments and all that kind of stuff in the MOS field, so I didn't have enough MOS credibility as like the guys that I'm going up against. But I was like, if you pulled up the sergeants' scores, like for sergeants looking to staff sergeant and all that stuff, and looking at time and service and time and grade and all that stuff, dude, I had people beat by like 8 years that were in the same boat as me, because all my Navy time counted for time and service and time and grade and all that stuff.
So now before we start talking about
the top of the list,
the track's top of the list, though, how did you even go? Like, we were talking about you telling your guys over at media and stuff like that you were leaving and they're treating you like shit, but how did you make, where was the decision to go from public affairs to tracks? Was it just because tracks was open and you needed to get the hell out of the community affairs office, or did you specifically seek that one out?
No, so when I was a corpsman with 3-6, Kilo Company was the track platoon. So I had operated on tracks as a corpsman previously, right. So I kind of knew my way around them.
Okay.
And like I'd been deployed off of them and all that kind of stuff. So I was in the back, like I wasn't driving the thing or anything like that. But it was a familiarity thing. Like I was like, I can go here and do that. And
was that at a second?
No, I was at third out at Pendleton.
Both when you were in the Navy too?
Oh yeah, when I was in the Navy, yeah, that was second tracks. Kilo would have been attached to second tracks. I don't remember which company or whatever out of there, but they were augmented to us, so we would go and do field ops and deployment training and all that kind of stuff with the dudes over at tracks.
Okay, so you've seen Courthouse Bay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And what's the river, new river or whatever that they splash into over there out of Courthouse Bay? Yeah. And then we did like gator squares and stuff off the coast, ship ops and all that kind of stuff. So it was all
fun,
all familiar stuff. And it was one of those things, like I was just like, when I went to tracks.
Well, when you were first there as a doc, and then when you went there.
Oh, when I was there as a doc, that would have been like 2003 through 2005.
Sure.
2006-ish.
I bet
when I was up there. And then, like I said, 2006 to 2007, I was at the hospital in Gitmo, and then got out 2007, went to the Marines and whatnot. But yeah, getting to tracks was weird too, because I'm going to the schoolhouse as a sergeant to learn the MOS. So that was a whole nother thing. It just kept going, man.
Right.
Like every time I found myself going, it was always like, "What are you doing here?"
Like, I was gonna say, it sounds like every time you turn around, everybody's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
Dude, you know what's funny?
Every turn that I made, it was, "Who are you? Why are you here? What did you do? Did you get demoted?" Like something ridiculous, you know? Like,
you know what's funny, Tom?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
But I was just waiting for you.
What's funny is that Sean and I, and he mentioned it last time. I just didn't say anything, but we were actually in boot camp at the exact same time.
Wait, you guys were going through base? Oh, a month off.
Yeah, yeah. So he was a class ahead of me.
At the other.
So he was I was Delta Company, and I don't remember which one you were. Were you Bravo?
I'd have been Alpha.
Alpha. So he was an Alpha Company. I was Delta Company, like 1038 or some shit. I don't really remember, or 1018. I don't know. But so we were there at the same time.
4 or 5 weeks ahead of him, or?
Well, I got there in September.
Uh-huh.
So.
Well, yeah, I don't know how long.
I would have got to Paris Island it would have been like July 16th or something like that.
Okay, so you were fucking I was probably watching you graduate. So they'd bring us out there, and you'd be on the grinder, fucking practicing all your shit. And I think that I remember them talking about a gent who was fucking stacked out. So like, that's ringing a bell. I'm pretty sure it's fucking you, dude.
It was funny. It was funny walking across a parade deck when we graduated, and everyone has like one ribbon because you get like the national defense like gimme ribbon,
right,
and
the
then
participation ribbon,
my ridiculous amount of ribbons, and I'm like, I was just one of the like, I was like first squad, like third person back or something like that is where I ended up falling in line,
squad
and so I was like, it was like the guide, then like two people, and then me, so like. You see this stuff, and then you just see like all my ribbons, and even like parents were like, "What the fuck?"
You get the rank of a PFC, but the chest candy of a Mexican general.
Damn. Yeah, it was. I have a picture from boot camp, I think, on my Instagram. You can go and see. If not, I'll
remind everybody what your Instagram is.
So it's a Marine called Doc, _Marine _called _Doc.
There you go. And that's kind of
tracks was fun, man.
So you when you go to tracks, you're familiar with it. You're like, shit, I got to get out of foreign affairs. I know tracks. That's cool. So you go over there, you get through schooling, and then how does that work for you? Like, what you now you have your own doc on your tracks squad, or?
Yeah. I have a platoon corpsman and stuff. It's funny too because like the corpsman that they attach to us, like I'm like that scene from Parks and Rec when Ron Swanson goes into the hardware store, and the guy's like, "How can I help you?" And he's like, "I literally know more than you." Like, and he like walks away, like, "Hey, I'm your corpsman today. Like, do you need anything?" And I'm like, I literally know more than you. You're like a HN E3. Like, get away from me.
So,
oh my god,
did you tell them? Did they know you were a doc, or did you just?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of those things that just follows me everywhere. Is they like find out I'm a corpsman and stuff, and it was actually funny. So like I get to tracks, and I go through school, I graduate the schoolhouse, and I'm supposed to get sent across the street to, one of the platoons, and they're like, "Who's Dickens?" And I'm like, here we go. And I'm like, yeah, I'm over here. And they're like, yeah, you're going to, supposed to be Echo Company. And I'm like, okay. And then they're like, but you're not going to Echo Company right now. You're going to go to 29 Palms as a coyote and run training out there with mechanized patrol detachment.
Dude,
but I graduated the schoolhouse. I didn't see a track for 8 months. Because I wasn't even operating tracks out in 29 Palms. I was sitting in the back of a Humvee. Yeah. I was sitting in the back of a Humvee, bumping across the desert, following infantry units that were like up armored in like 7 tons and stuff.
Dude, who did you
doing counter IED training?
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then I did that. And then I came back.
It was the light colonel from the public affairs office was like, no, fuck that guy. You just fuck him.
Yeah, fucking bet, dude.
I don't know. The only adverse fit rep I ever got in my entire career was out at 29 Palms because the lieutenant out there didn't like me.
Oh, that's guts because they fucker made a call and was like, "Hey, this asshole is coming to you."
Something happened.
Did I bet, dude? I'd put money on it because, dude, that Marine Corps Underground is no joke.
Yeah, so I got an adverse fit rep and whatnot, but it was funny because it was like all of my public affairs fit reps were super high, like positive, whatever. And then I go to the schoolhouse, I get a schoolhouse fit rep, and then I go to tracks, immediately get sent to 29 Palms, get an adverse fit rep at 29 Palms, come back to tracks, and then my very next thing is like must promote, early promote, like up high, like little again. And so I just have this weird anomaly in my record that I have like one fit rep that says I was a shitbird, but
you know what? That to me proves like it actually is helpful, because when somebody looks at just one fit rep or one evaluation or what, and there's just one guy that's saying, no, he's a fucking asshole, right? Then you're like, is he though, or are you?
Yeah.
Hey, Chesty Puller would have been proud.
Right? If you're not pissing somebody off once in a while, you're not doing your job.
No, dude, I lived my life by that. If you're not getting an ass chewing every once in a while, you're not doing your shit. You're not protecting people. Unless you're just a shitbag. I mean, but if you're taking heat and getting an ass chewing, it's different. But
by the way, no, go ahead.
I was never really in trouble, but I also was like never really going out of my way to like kiss anybody's ass either. You know?
Yeah, that was always my problem. Is I like, yeah, ass kissers. I'm just not. I'm friendly. I'm nice. I'm conversational, but I don't bullshit people, and that got me in trouble a few times.
I have a question for you, Sean. Now, you went into the Marine Corps, and you know they really wouldn't fuck with you on field days, and you had the option, the ability to see what a mainsider's field day looks like in admin, right? Kind of to going into the combat arms MOS of 1833 track crewmen. What were those? Was that like, holy fuck, they're nuts over here when it came to field days and like hazing and shit? Because now you're seeing what the real Marine Corps is fucking like. And did it make you smile?
Oh yeah, dude. It was like being home again.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
When I was with the infantry, it was like, it's Thursday. Every piece of furniture better be on the catwalk so you can mop your floor. Like Chinese field day and shit. Like, and so going to public affairs and it's just whatever. And then going back to tracks, and it was back to like, your fucking bed better be outside. Like, I was just like,
fuck yeah, dude.
I'm home. Like,
I'm back in the Marine Corps again.
Remember when I asked you about the Wesley Rice, the instructor at the schoolhouse who ended up losing his life because the crewman who was driving the fucking track used the hand throttle and fucking pinned it and sunk the vehicle on the jetty. Yeah, and then he fucking passed. He was when I got to second tracks in the fleet out of Courthouse Bay. He was my my NCO that I first met, and he was an asshole, like a fucking dick. And I got there on a Thursday on a field day, and we stayed up till 3 a.m. till he passed out drunk and never came back to check our room. And then we woke up. We're like, I guess we're just gonna go to bed. Slept an hour and a half. Woke up for fucking for morning PT. And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Is he ever gonna check our room? So, and that was it's just.
Bitch, like.
Yeah, that was basically it. Welcome to the fleet, bitch. You get there and you're hearing people fucking fresh meat, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I just wanted to ask, like, fuck, like, what was it like just getting there and just being immersed in all the fucking craziness back in the Marine Corps again? You're just like, yeah, I fucking love it, dude. This is great.
It was awesome. Plus, I went back as a sergeant, so I didn't have to deal with any of that crap. And at that point I was married, so I had like my own house over in base housing. So I would have to come over and like monitor the field day and stuff. And I would show up and it'd be like, I'm showing up with, and it's like the corporals that live in the barracks, and I'm like, make it happen. I'll be back in 45 minutes. And then you just hear them like, you fucking hurt. Get up there, God damn it. Like, and I just let my corporals do shit. Like, my job is not to sit here and white glove your stuff. That's the corporal's job. They're the ones that should be fucking you up because your thing is still dirty. And then when I come through, because if I come through and everything's still dirty, it's because the corporals failed. So I'm fucking the corporals up, and they know it because I was a dick if you didn't do like what you were supposed to do. Like, I was one of those sergeants. Like, I was super fair, but I was also super firm. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not doing the standard, you're gonna have a rough time. Like, if you're doing the standard and I tell you, hey, this is what needs to get done, I'll be back in 30 minutes. It better be done. Right. If I come back in 30 minutes and it's not done, okay, well, now we can play games. And guess what? I've got like 15 years of fuck games built up that I know
Fuck yeah, dude.
that will have fun and whatnot.
So
I never did that. So I would show up to field day sometimes, and I had a couple of my guys in my section that I would go up to their room, and they would have like all their stuff already cleaned up and stuff. And I would walk in, and they'd be like, "Hey, Sergeant, how you doing?" I'm like, "Good." And they already had like the Xbox turned on with like the chair, and I would just sit in their room and play Xbox while they were field daying around me. And they were just
awesome,
like, whatever.
dude.
I'm like, they're like mopping. I'm just like lifting my boots up. They're mopping under my feet. I'm playing their friggin' Xbox. Like,
Dude, you remind me of my Sergeant McCulley. He was just like that.
yeah.
Awesome.
If you treat your guys good, like there's that saying, like if you treat your guys like your own beloved sons, they'll go through the gates of hell to just because you told them to.
Right.
And I took that to heart. Like I would fight somebody in regards to my guys. Like, don't come into my section and tell my guys fucking anything.
Right.
Like, and my guys knew it. Like, if another sergeant or a corporal or something came in and was like, "Hey, I'm fucking whatever," they would be like, my sergeant said that this is what I'm supposed to do. And so if you have something that whatever, you need to go talk to him." And I would fucking protect them too. Like, okay, I don't care who told you to whatever. Like, I told you whatever. I'm your section leader. I'm your A/ whatever.
Yeah.
What I say goes, and until you hear from somebody higher than me or you hear from me, this is your task and stuff. Because I would have other dudes from like other sections in the platoon would come and be like, "Hey, we need people to field day. Go find Sergeant Dickens because I'm scrubbing rust because that's what he told me to do."
Right.
And he'll fuck me up if he finds me not doing what he told me to do.
But see, that's good leadership. Like, if you set the expectations, right, and you stick by them, and you don't fuck with people, and you don't treat them like shit. When they meet expectations, you treat them like, cool. You met expectations. You're a human being. And then you like fuck up, and you're like,
you're a grown ass man.
Right? Exactly. It's almost as if when you actually expect something of somebody, and then you hold them to it, you get the results you want. It's such a
right
concept to so many people.
I can hold your hand and treat you like a toddler,
right?
Or I can expect you to do what I asked you to do as a fucking man who decided to hold your hand up and join this gun club that we're all in and do what you're expected to do. Like, your mama ain't here. Like, I'm not holding your hand. Like, your daddy ain't here.
That's not my job.
Do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Go and clean your room. Like, it's not rocket science. Everybody's like, "Oh, the Marine Corps is so tough." It's not tough.
No.
Clean your room, clean your weapon. Don't be a fat body. Like, do your PT when you're supposed to PT, and you will not have a bad time unless you have like some scumbag NCO that's just a dick because he didn't get held enough when he was a child. But those guys weed themselves out.
Or they promote.
or they become. Normally, they just give them a rocker and put them in charge of people.
Right. So now, did you deploy with the tracks at all?
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay, so
we went. I did.
How was that? Yeah,
the 11th MU and then 31st MU.
And when you were out at sea, where were you guys posted up at? Did you have to go anywhere? How was that?
We did a Westpac, right?
Pacific a bunch. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was 31st MU was like Malaysia, Philippines, Hong Kong, and then 11th MU was same place basically, but we got stuck in Japan for like 4 months before that.
Oh, fucking Okie.
Let
us know if you need us to send help.
Yeah, I'm dying. I need a corn.
Okay, so you ran basically, even though they were both one was they're different MUs, you went to the same general area.
Yeah, so like for the first one, we went to Malaysia, Philippines, some other place. Then we went into Kuwait, and we were in Kuwait for a while. And then we went back out, and then we went Bahrain or something like that, and then back to Malaysia for Liberty.
In the Indian Ocean?
Wherever the boat was going.
Sure.
I was too busy in the well deck making sure my guys were busting rust and doing all that stuff.
That well deck, dude. Oh.
Yeah. And then the 11th MEU, we went to Japan for a couple months and got whatever, and then went out.
Yeah, so how did you get stuck in Japan?
Like Pacific Islands and stuff. How did we get there?
I know. How did you get stuck? Well, I know how you got there. How did you get stuck there?
Oh, well, like for whatever. So like the 31st MEU, we went out and then like took our tracks, drove out into the ocean, got on a ship, and then we were just on the ship. Mm-hmm. But for the 11th MEU, we like flew over to Japan and then like hot swapped some tracks that they have. Was it First Tracks? I think is in Japan.
Yeah.
So they gave us the MEU tracks, whatever. We got them all working and fixed them all up, and then we went out onto a ship and left from there. And then just bounced around different places.
Oh, so it was just like equipment prep time that you needed.
Yeah, basically for like the first couple months, because we had to like make sure all the tracks worked, and then we had to do some training over there with the grunts and stuff. And then we also had to put on the EK armor on the sides of the tracks. Like they made us swap that out and put new EK armor and stuff on, and then we were able to go get on the ship and go on our deployment. So. And it was funny because that deployment, we went to Cambodia as a libo port. We were like the first U.S. service ship to dock in Cambodia in like 40 years. 40 years, excuse me.
How fucking crazy was that?
It was a fucking absolute insanity, bro. It was 5 days of libo in Cambodia. And yeah.
Someone has some kids over there.
we hadn't had a libo port in like 3 months by that point. Like we had like one in Malaysia, and then I think we stopped somewhere else, and then we were just on the ship for a hot minute. And so by the time we got to Cambodia, because it was towards the end of the deployment, dudes had like 3 or 4 months of pay saved up, and they were like, all right, here's Cambodia, 5 days.
I would like as many sexually transmitted diseases as you have.
It was nuts. So by far the absolute craziest thing that I've ever, well, there's a lot of crazy shit I experienced in my time in the military, but liboport wise, Cambodia was an absolute like fever dream, bro.
So was it multiple ports, or did you put into one port?
Nope. They docked the ship in one port in Cambodia, and we just stayed there for 5 days.
You pulled in and did not pull out.
I'm sure there were several people that did not pull out.
We stumbled in, so it was, you had to go out in groups of 4, which was new, because like in the other, like Malaysia and all these other places, it was like you just had to have you and your libo buddy. But in Cambodia, they were like, you have to have a libo group of 4.
Yeah.
And so
the fucking Hangover.
It's me. Yeah, right. Like, exactly. And so we go out in town the first day, and they get us on like these tour bus things from the port and take us into the town. Mm-hmm. Right. And we get off the buses and are immediately swarmed by like all these little kids trying to sell like bitty bracelets and trinkets and stuff. And me and my libo group are like, no, we need 2 things. We need food, and we need something crazy. Like we have been locked on a ship. We want to see something crazy.
Crazy.
And so
you're in Cambodia. Come to the right place.
We're trying to get nutto. Like, let's go. And so
they probably still have some hooker from the Vietnam War who could squirt ping pong balls out her hooch.
Yeah, right. So we're like wading through these kids, like get out of our way and all this stuff. We get through the sea of kids and come out the other side, and there's like a whole bunch of like these like tuk-tuk driver things, but it literally was like a trailer, like a covered trailer attached to the back of a motorcycle by like a ball hitch that was like welded to the tender. It was the jankiest thing I've ever seen. And this guy's like leaning on his motorcycle, smoking a cigarette. And he's like, oh, but hey, my friend, where do you want to go? And we're like, my buddy's just like, we want to see something crazy. And he's like, I know the place. And he like takes a drag off his cigarette and just like flicks it into the street. And I'm like, we are going to die. Like,
right. You just wrote this guy a blank check.
Yeah. My limo group is me, 2 corporals, and then our platoon corpsman. That was our group. So it's a corpsman, a prior corpsman, and 2 corporals. And that's my limo group. And we all pile into the back of this freaking trailer thing on this motorcycle. And this dude just starts ripping through traffic. And I'm like, we are going to die. Like, the headlines tomorrow are going to be like that we were killed in this motorcycle.
Marine serviceman killed.
And he takes us
to training accident.
Yeah. Yeah. He takes us to this place and he just pulls into this parking lot and stops, kills the engine, hops off the bike and just starts walking away. And like, we're just like, what the fuck? And then he just like turns and he's like, come on, like waves for us to come on and follow him. And so we're like, all right, whatever. So we follow him into this thing. It's like an archway. And we walk through the archway and it was basically like this janky reptile house that had like snakes and stuff that looked like if they had hands, they would have killed themselves, like in cages, like, and like it was just run down. But there's this
that looks like a black mamba. That's because it's a black mamba.
Yeah, he's like, that's a king cobra. Like,
that's a king cobra. Very good to eat.
Yeah, and so, but the thing was, it was an alligator farm / reptile house, and it was a restaurant. And they had these tables that were like hollow, and there were like snakes in the center of the table.
What the fuck?
I'm like, yo, I am
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, I am not eating here. Like, this is not gonna be a thing.
You want to watch Simple Jack?
Like, yeah. Yeah, he's like, we're not eating here. The rest of the group's like, we're not eating here. But the guy's like, follow me. And like, he takes us around this thing and he takes us over the pit. And there's like 20 or 30 crocodile things in this pit. Jeez. And he's like, wait here. And then he like walks across this bridge, talks to this other guy. That guy comes over to us and he's like, $10. And we're like, what? And like my platoon corpsman just hands him a tenner and is like, here, like no questions asked. I'm like, you have 0 survival skills, bro. Like, what is going on?
We're gonna see some crazy shit.
Walk in, they're feeding like people to the alligator. I don't fucking care. Yeah.
So hands him the $10. This dude turns and fucks off. And I'm like, I think you just got robbed for 10 bones, man. Like, whatever. And we're sitting there for probably about 5 or 10 minutes. And we're like looking around at all the sad animals and stuff. And then that guy comes back and he's got like Walmart plastic grocery bags in his hand.
What?
And comes walking over to us and he holds them out in front of him and he's like, here you go. And it takes us a second to process like what's going on. And there's like live chickens in these Walmart bags.
The fuck? He's like, live chickens?
Yeah, he brought like 3 or 4 Walmart bags full of live chickens. There's probably like 8 chickens in these bags. And he's like
baby chicks, like they're still yellow or like big white fluffy, like
no, like full grown chickens.
Oh shit.
Like full on big chickens.
Grab him by the neck and throw them in.
So you grab him by the neck and throw them in the pit with the alligator.
Yeah. It was like, it just like kind of thumbs over the rail into the crocodiles. He's like, you guys feed them.
Okay.
And we're like,
to be fair,
fucking way.
When you go to a petting zoo, they have the little vending machines where you can put in a buck and get some chicken feed and feed the chickens. So it's only fair that if there's an alligator or a crocodile petting zoo, that you get to do the same thing.
Yeah. And it was so like we stood there holding these bags, like looking into them at these chickens for probably a good minute, like trying to process what the hell just happened. And then finally one of the guys just reaches in and grabs a chicken and hucks it over the edge. And the ensuing just visceral bloodbath of this chicken getting ripped in half. And like we all kind of stand there and go, holy shit. And then one of my guys is like, that only cost us $10 American. And then we're just like hucking these chickens over the fence and into this thing and watching them get ripped apart. And it was insane. Like, gators are like missing the chicken, but then they're landing on another gator. So then they're fighting and spinning around. It was complete chaos.
Yeah, feeding frenzy, right?
For like 5 minutes. And then we were just like, all right, we're out of chickens. And then our driver's like, all right, follow me. And we left and got back in the Deathmobile. And he took us to a restaurant that ended up being like the hub of the rest of the time we were there in Cambodia.
That was your base of operations.
Yeah, it wasn't just ours. It became like the entire deployment's base of operations, because we walked in.
Safe meeting spot.
Place is called the Monkey Republic.
What?
Okay. And we walked in, and it's kind of like this open air bar restaurant kind of a thing. It's got high tables, it's got low tables, it's got a bar to sit at, outside seating, like a patio and everything like that. It was a nice place. But on the wall, when we walked in, there was like a scoreboard on the wall.
Okay.
And we all kind of see it, but we don't really like pay much attention to it. And it's like a chalkboard kind of thing. It's got lines, and it's got like columns with like tick marks and numbers and all this stuff in it. So we sit and start to get our food, like order our food. And then I got to go to the bathroom. So I'm like, walk past this chalkboard thing, and I look at it and take like a good look at it. And it's got countries listed down one side and then numbers down the other side.
What?
And at the top of it, it says Jaeger shot $1, Jaeger bomb $1.50. And so I stopped the waitress, and I'm like, what's with the board? And she's like, oh, anytime you do a Jaeger shot or a Jaeger bomb, it goes into the scoreboard, and that's your score. And then at the end of the month, whoever has the highest score on the scoreboard, like, we erase it and start over. And whoever had the highest score, whatever country, there's a hostel that's attached to the bar. Anybody that comes in and stays in the hostel that's from that country for like the first week of the next month gets all their like food and drink for free or something like that.
I thought you were going to say gets a hooker.
Oh, yeah. So no,
yeah. And so I go back to the
fresh
table,
lady
like,
boy.
hey, yeah, that's what this scoreboard is. It's like Jaeger shot tally scoreboard.
That's awesome.
And they're like, okay, so then they all go over and check it out. And it was like Great Britain had like 99, France had like 50, Cambodia had whatever. And it was just down. Australia had like 76 or something like that. Going through, like, the Netherlands had 2, like whatever. And then USA had like 45 or something like that. And I literally watched the moment when my Libo group, like, all of their wheels like synced, and they processed what
we're about to fucking win.
They had to do. And I'm like, oh God. And one of my guys, Corporal Bush was his name. He's like, we didn't win 2 world wars to fucking lose at the Jaeger scoreboard. And everybody's
yes,
like, goddamn right we didn't. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So they start telling anybody from the detachment that comes in, like the deployment from the boat, they see Marines, hey, Jaeger shot, scoreboard, blah, 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 and they hash out the whole thing. By like the second night, the entire ship knows about the Monkey Republic.
Oh,
all right.
Fuck yeah, dude. It's in the thousands.
The first night, we were at 45 when we walked into the bar.
Okay.
When we left that evening, we were at 415.
I was going to say, dude, 500.
Oh, yeah. Like 415 when my Libo group left. That's what the boat said.
Fuck, dude. That's a lot.
The next night, when we got to the bar, because we slept in a little bit, got breakfast, and then went out in town. By the time we made it, we stopped at the Monkey Republic just to see, and the score was at 600.
Oh, 600.
And I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, it's already starting. Like, it's 9:30 in the morning, and we're at 600. When we left last night, we were at 400 and something. And I'm like, it's on. That second night, they drank every drop of Jaeger in the bar. The next night, The next night, the poor owner was panicked because that night before he ran out of Jaeger and it got a little unruly. So he sent runners out to every bar on the strip and bought every bottle of Jaeger that they could spare.
Oh my God.
And they drank all of that the third night. The fourth night, he sent his assistant manager and one of the bar backs in separate vehicles to the surrounding cities and bought up every bottle that they could fit into these little minivan things and brought it back. And by the end of the fifth day, they drank all of that.
Wow.
And it was insane. By the time we left on the fifth night, it was at like 5,743.
I was going to say, dude.
Fuck, 5K?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Had changed the scoreboard, so instead of it saying USA, it said USMC. And they'd taken over the chalk.
Yeah.
They're like, it was like fucking Lord of the Flies. They're just like trays of Jaegers getting delivered, and just drunken Marines were like, Jaeger, 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 and like just slamming Jaeger shots. And I'm like, this is the downfall of civilization. Like, this is ground zero for like these guys are de-evolving over Jaeger shots.
How many of those
the poor
females in the bar got with some Marines?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Like, well, there was sailors and stuff from the ship that were showing up too. So there's like sailors showing up, and they're like, they added like US Navy in there.
Oh no.
It had like a couple hundred, and like the Marines would go over and like erase it off the board and be like, fuck the Navy. And then just like slam Jaeger.
Oh my God. See, boys and girls, you too can have this kind of fun.
Yeah. Join the Marines. See the world. Get drunk in foreign ports.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch this idea right now. Y'all don't get it over at Marine Corps headquarters. You need Sean. Go call somebody back at Public Affairs and explain to them the power of advertising on our podcast, because we do more by telling stories like that to recruit fucking Marines than any goddamn commercial can. Because if you don't want to join the fucking Marine Corps after hearing about drinking Cambodia and all the surrounding areas dry of Jägermeister in 5 days, if you don't want that kind of excitement, I can't help you.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work, guys. It really does.
If I would have known about the booze cruises like I do now, back when I was a boot,
dude, you would have.
I would have fucking
on
given
your
my
second
left
rehab
nut.
stay.
I would have given my left fucking nut to go on a Mew.
There was a hostel area that was down on the coast, like right by the beach, and there was a hostel complex thing for sale. And I almost had the guys convinced that we should all just like get out and pool our VA money and buy this hostel in Cambodia and just move over there.
Dude, you'd probably
like, you're married, you have kids, and I'm like, they won't miss me. Like,
he's now on Airbnb.
First night free.
No, you can find us on VRBO.
It was nuts.
We call ourselves the Red Monkey Airbnb.
Yeah. We called it like Devil Dog Saloon or something.
Right now it is. They changed the name.
Dude, it was insane.
And don't email me telling me that voice is racist, because it's not my fault that's how they talk. It's just how they talk.
It is. So how many people had to get their bores punched and go see the wizard on that fucking 6th day when they're like, all right, we're done in port and we're back on the ocean? How many motherfuckers were like, I gotta go see the wizard?
Well, probably all of them. Who knows? At that point, like, I wasn't drinking anymore, and so like I was sober the whole time, and I was just like observing.
You just ruined the whole.
I couldn't, man. Like, my liver I had personal reasons why I didn't drink anymore and stuff. So, but I was monitoring my guys and making sure but I didn't like stop them. They're like 2 drink limit. And I'm like, yeah, right. You didn't get 650 bajillion Jaeger shots by having a 2 drink limit. Don't be a bitch. I did take 1 Jaeger shot over there because one of my junior Marines bought it for me. And like, when you're standing in, the presence of history in the making, like, you have to make your mark. So I did take one Jaeger shot so that I could contribute to the board, but
like,
it was
insane. Don't be a bitch.
Yeah, basically.
We don't say Sarge. There's one thing we do not say: is Sarnt or get fucked.
I like get fucked. That's pretty good.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. And so, and all your other parts of that MU, was there anything that was crazy like that in any other Libo ports, or like any crazy fights or anything like that?
On that one, no, not really. The guys were pretty good. The one before that,
really?
Hong Kong, they got in trouble in Hong Kong, and some dudes got left behind when the ship left.
Because
they were in a Chinese prison.
Oh shit! No way.
What'd they do?
Yeah, for like beating some. Well, so I guess some dude, like, they were defending somebody because like this guy was like attacking somebody in the alley.
Wait a minute.
So they proceeded to stomp the shit out of it.
Familiar?
It was like two dudes in Hong Kong that got left behind, I think, or something like that.
Did we?
But it was
interview
because
somebody
they
who
beat somebody with a
knew or was
shovel.
there?
I think it was something like some dude
slow.
started attacking somebody, and they saw it and they intervened. And when the Hong Kong police showed up, all that they saw was two Americans kicking the shit out of a local, and so they didn't even ask questions. They just arrested.
Hooked them up.
And the language barrier and all that stuff too. So they just got arrested like the night before we're supposed to leave. So it was like the ship left and they were still in jail. And like the command was working with the State Department or whoever they had to work with to try and get them out and stuff. But yeah, on that second deployment, the different places, like nothing really happened in Libo ports that I remember that was anything like to be worried about or anybody get into crazy fights or anything like that. They're actually kind of well behaved, which surprised me. Because I for sure thought like every time we pulled into port, like somebody's going to jail.
Yeah. Right. I spent a month on ship. And fuck, my buddy almost got fucking captain's mast. Like he got caught fucking banging some chick in her room. Navy chick.
Well, you had that typical deployment stuff. Like there were sailors and stuff that were caught hooking up in like paint lockers and stuff. And like the typical deployment stuff, like, so like it's so expected that it didn't even like ding on my weird shitter radar. Like I didn't even process it. But the Jaeger shots thing like was like, holy crap.
What happened to the dudes who were left behind in Hong Kong?
They eventually got released to the command because there's some sort of like
treaty
advance party or something like that that goes into those places, and it's like so they had to like send an officer from the deployment had to stay behind in Hong Kong until they were released and then like fly back to the States with them or something like that.
Did they get in trouble?
Oh yeah. They missed movement and they were like, oh yeah, they got in like some serious NJP trouble.
Really? For protecting someone's honor?
Yeah, they didn't care. You missed movement, you got arrested in a foreign port, you almost caused an international incident. Like you're getting bent over.
Right. They're lucky. You're lucky that this is all that's happening to you, kind of a thing.
Yeah. You're lucky that we even bothered to get you out. Like you could be in some Chinese work camp right now making big rocks.
Yeah, we could have said, those aren't our kids. We don't know them.
Yeah. Like, no speak English, and then just left them there. Yeah. Like, but they got out, but they did not have a good time when they did get out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Fuck, dude. No, Tom, we had something similar that happened, but it was not protecting someone's honor. It was just beating the shit. It was robbing and beating the shit out of someone.
Is that what it was? I remember we heard a story about a fight and the guys got arrested, and I wasn't sure if this was the same one.
I don't know if it was in Hong Kong. I don't know where it was.
It might have been. It was either Japan or China, but I want to say. Yeah,
I think it was Japan, and was it Japan? May have been. I think it was. I don't fucking know.
Anyway. I want to say I remember something about, I don't remember if it was on my deployment, or the deployment after me, that it was something referenced like a guy thought he was taking a girl home and it was a lady boy, and you didn't find out until he got back to the hotel, and he ended up beating him
all the time.
Like, maybe it was in Japan or something like that. While we were in Japan, something. I remember something around that time. basically brought back a lady boy. Didn't realize it was a lady boy until he got back to the hotel room. And then I want to say like beat them to death or something like that. I want to say that was in Japan, like right before we got there. Because I remember when we got to Japan, they had us on like base lockdown. Like we weren't allowed to go out in town and have a live up.
Japanese don't have a lot of lady boys. That would surprise me.
It was weird. Yeah. I just remember
maybe they locked you down in Japan because it had already happened close by, you know, in Thailand or something, and they're like, no, everybody gets locked down.
And they like were like, yo, it just happened like recently before we got there.
Right.
And they were like, you guys don't get to go out in town. Like you're locked in the base until further notice.
Wow.
And stuff. But yeah.
Well, look at the
see, I expected way more of that, like on deployment, like some sort of weird thing, like fights and all that stuff, and it never really happened. It was
that's actually
I was surprised.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how fast when we're having this kind of fun, an hour goes by. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like here we are.
It's already been.
Yeah. So
part 3.
Yeah, we definitely want to have you back, Sean. It's been a blast, and we always give our guests a chance. And I know you said you wanted to split them since we were doing 2 parts. You could split them up. So for our second episode, our part 2, who did you want to dedicate this episode to?
So I got 2 for this one.
Okay.
I'll did it. The first one is PFC McClenny, Daniel McClenny. He was killed in Barakout in 2004 with Thacker. And then the other one is PFC Snell. He was a tracker that was working up deployments with us, and he died in training at 29 bombs. He had a rough one. That was a rough one. He was in the back of an AAV with the Miklik, the mine clearing.
Yeah, that's mine track
thing. Yeah, like it shoots like this big rope of C4.
Big rope of C4, yeah.
1,730 pounds of C4.
Yeah, and I guess there's some sort of safety pin that didn't get pulled or something like that, or something happened and the safety mechanism didn't disengage, and so it's basically like a rocket burning in the back of the track, and it lit the fuel tank on fire and all this stuff, and he couldn't get out of the back in that one, so that one was rough. Yeah, and it was like right before we were deployed, but yeah, dedicated to those 2 guys.
I can't tell you how many of those I've shot off, and that's so sad. I don't have any words for that. Like, that's horrible.
Yeah, it was a stupid mistake that shouldn't have.
Right.
Whatever, but somebody didn't do something they were supposed to do. Man.
Yeah. Fuck, dude.
Yep.
Well, rest easy, brothers. We got it from here. We'll keep dedicating it until there's no one to dedicate it to. Sean, it's been a blast again. This goes by too fast and it's fun. And I've seen some of your new videos that you've posted since.
Yeah. I listened to the locker room earlier and when I was at work and listened to it. And he was like, is that the thing Sean posted? And I was like, hey, they remember.
That's right. Yeah. And that, it's funny.
Me.
Now, Chuck just told me that one of our posts, it was from April. Right?
Fucking from April, bro. So when we were talking last time, I was like, we've never had a post go past like 20,000 views. And next thing I know, fucking like 4 days later, I'm getting blown up on my phone.
Yeah, me too.
Tom.
Like, what the heck is happening?
Dude, it was like 60,000. Then it was like 100,000. Then it was like 150,000. Then it was like 200,000. Now it's like 250,000 views with like 20 something thousand likes and fucking like 17,000 shares or some crazy shit. I'm like, dude,
it's just algorithm.
I just muted it. Yeah. I'm looking at 22.7 thousand likes.
The video,
13.5 thousand shares.
Yeah, the video was basically something that reminded me of something that happened on patrol when I was working as a cop.
Right.
Because I'm off injured, and basically I had a guy run from me in a foot pursuit, tried to jump through a window, but bounced off, and I fucking tackled him. We got into a little fight. It was into custody, whatever. So when I saw this video, it was basically in like a hotel or an apartment. It was a hotel, and the copper goes there, comes in contact with this dude, and gets him in a firm grip on his left arm. He's like, "Hey man, don't tense up. Don't tense up." And the fucking guy runs, and the cop just goes, and he tries to jump through the fucking sliding glass window, but he bounces off and fucking falls back, and he's like, fuck.
I just sent you the video from our War Stories account, so you can check it out and see what we're talking about. But it seems to be the part that everybody loves the most about it, and admittedly, understandably so. There's 3 components. Well, there's a couple of components. The guy runs. Well, just watch it. Go ahead. if you've got it. But the guy runs. And
he hits the window, and then the cop's like, "Where are you going, man?" Like,
yeah, and but the noise the suspect makes when he hits, and where are you going, man? The cop giggles.
I wish I had the fucking foot pursuit video. I wish I would have saved it because I was rolling camera, but I didn't, and I didn't record it. It's against policy. But there were so many people recording it on the street when mine happened. Don't tell me. This guy fucking jumps in the air. He's a parolee. He's a fucking parolee. He doesn't want to go back to prison. Just fucking ADW'd his mom with the fucking at knife point.
Right.
And threatened to kill her husband. And he sees me chasing after him because I fucking found him. And he jumps in the air and screams like a little fucking girl. I wish I could get that fucking film because it was awesome. And when I looked at everyone, I was like, hey, you guys got any like film? Like they're all construction workers. And they're all like, nah, we didn't see shit. And I was like, I appreciate it, but I really want that fucking video. Like I really do. Like I really want to see it. I want to relish this for the rest of my life because this guy's a straight asshole. And he screamed like a little bitch when I fucking chased him.
Oh, it's amazing.
And dude, it was fucking amazing, but I'm never going to see that video. Maybe one day in like 10 fucking years, it'll surface and going viral. And I'll be like, that's fucking me. That's fucking me. So, I hope so, but who knows?
We didn't have body cams, and I kind of wish we had for a couple of incidents because I would have totally downloaded the footage and saved it into my like personal GWiz file. And one of them, I remember I had just come back from Narcs. And Sarge, if you're listening to, well, shit, you're a lieutenant now. You're not listening to this. You get sued for listening to it. So the rookies had found a tweaker, and they were chasing him downtown through the old parts of downtown. And there was a couple of brick buildings that literally date to the like late 1800s, early 1900s. And they're chasing him through this little narrow alleyway. And I know exactly where it goes out. So, 3 rookies on foot. I drive my police car, 2 more stores down and jump out. And I run the back alley knowing eventually it's going to hook around and connect. And so he's coming down the back alley. I'm hooking the other way. He's looking for them. He's not looking for me. And I just drop him coming, head on like a Mack truck. Put him on the ground. The rookies start running over, and I don't see anything. I just see the rookies, of course, swarming on him. So I just clotheslined this dude. And I just leaned in, and I said, welcome to Atascadero, motherfucker. And my sergeant was like, did you just welcome him to the city? Like, you heard that?
Dude,
I forgot I was mic'd up. Like,
right. But you know what? I mean, I knew a guy. He arrested a dude in the middle of the street, stood over him in the middle of a major intersection, and screamed from at the top of his lungs, "Welcome to Sheriff Mart, motherfucker!" After he just, I worked in a county that was a little cowboyish sometimes.
For sure.
I'll tell any of those stories. Well, no, that deputy's gone. He's not a deputy anymore. So, yeah.
Cameras are cool when you want to save the video. They're really shitty when you want to get burned by your agency. They like to fuck you.
Yeah.
They like to fuck you when no citizen complaints happen.
Now we're on a whole other episode. We should.
Fuck, dude.
Sounds like I.
So, I'll keep going. I don't give a shit.
I would like to have you on, and I know Tom would again. I think that you have some more stories. I think it'd be great to just shoot the shit, and I think that listeners would love it.
I think
so if you're open to it, I think we should have you on again.
I think we should do. We should do a lot. Like we should do a live stream with the 3 of us, and like see if we can set up after we get our because we're working on doing live streaming with Locker Room. But I think it would be beyond just doing a third episode, I think it would be really fun for the three of us to sit down and do like an Ask Me Anything where we just let people do a live stream chat and they can just ask us questions. We should try to see if we can set one of those things up.
I'm down. I don't care.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
We got to figure out our fucking tech stuff, but yeah.
Well, I have to send people some cameras apparently because
I'll buy one. I was going to ask you today. Send me the link again. I have to buy one for the zero limits. Oh, I just gave some shit away.
That's a sneak preview. All right. Well, Sean, again, appreciate you coming on. Why don't you tell them what we've got?
Well, hey everyone. Thanks for listening. If you like today's podcast and the content we provide, please help us out by rating and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or really whatever the fucking platform you listen to or subscribe to. Our podcast is available on all major podcast streaming platforms. Had a little bit to drink, as well as on YouTube. Reviews and ratings are how this fucking podcast platform decides what to recommend. So your reviews really help us grow the show. Also, please give us a follow on our Instagram at war_stories_official and our Facebook at War Stories Podcast.
Yep.
If you already follow us, please like and share our posts. If you click the link in our bio on Instagram and Facebook, it's Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Click the link. You'll be able to reach all of our social media sites and our website. Another way to support us is by visiting our website at www.warstoriesofficial.com. Let me say it again a little bit slower. www.warstoriesofficial.com, and grab some of our merch. We have some shirts, patches, stickers, Wooby hoodies available. If you think you have a story to tell and you want to be a guest on the show, please email your info and a brief description of your story to us at booking.warstories@gmail.com. Again, for the Hooked on Phonics folks, that is booking at war. No, sorry, I fucked up. Now I look like an asshole. Booking.warstories.
Now you look like an asshole.
@gmail.com. So I can get you booked. I'm not an asshole. I just like to have fun. We're always looking for veterans, law enforcement, corrections, firefighters, and medics, but also dispatchers and nurses. If you have a friend who you think would be a great fit, let them know about us and give them our booking email. Again, thank you for the support. Stay safe.
And Sean, why don't you tell everybody how they can find you? Because they can follow you. You post some pretty funny. I checked it out. I'm not good. I checked it out. But you post some pretty funny content, and we want to grow your audience and your exposure and do more stuff together. It'd be fun. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so Facebook and Instagram, it's all the same thing. It's a Marine called Doc. So A_Marine_called_Doc. And yeah, I got some stuff that I'm messing with. So I might have some video stuff going on here in the future. But yeah, I'm down to come back.
A Marine called Doc, you don't have a hair on your ass.
Yeah, right. You don't follow me. You're fuck you. No. Yeah, I'm down to come back. I
want to issue a challenge. I want our listeners, after this episode drops, I want to see. So the episode drops, Sean, at midnight 30 on Mondays. So this Monday, you'll know the date based on when we're recording this. The audience won't. They'll be hearing this on Monday. Midnight 30 that Monday. I want to know by 24 hours later, between when the episode drops and then 24 hours later, how many followers you gain. And I want all our audience to go as soon as they hear the episode drop and go follow it. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I looked at my stuff earlier and I jumped I was at 7,450 or something like that. So
I want to say you already did it. That's awesome.
I'd love from this last thing just today I saw before I came on. I was up to 7,400, something like that. But yeah, I'll see what it jumps this next time. But,
yeah. All right. Well then, until our next episode, I'm home with your shield or honor.